Hey, fantastic fam. Welcome to our community where we combine the woo and the work. We are two professional women who believe we can have it all and constantly upgrade ourselves to meet our visions. I'm Kalyani and I've chosen the off-roading path to personal development, being an entrepreneur with the journey of motherhood. I'm an economics postgraduate and I love working with all things mind and money. I've founded and sold one business and I'm now building this business that feels like fun and freedom for life.
Hi, I'm Rupali. I'm a numbers nerd turned Reiki master and many other things. I found a passion for all things wellness. I've worked in banking and finance for 15 years and I love combining that knowledge with all things energetics to create impact in a fun, easy way for others. Join us as we share the behind the scenes of us creating wealth, freedom and magic.
In this episode, I want to talk about 3 mistakes that I've made in my journey with investments and how this could hopefully help you from avoiding these mistakes in your journey, in your road to success, in your road to making millions in the markets. The first mistake I would say would be following too many coaches at the same time. My thought process behind this was, as I was so new to this field, to this whole universe of investments and trading, and it was something that aligned very deeply with me. I was very, very excited to be introduced to this universe. With my excitement, I just wanted to learn everything that there was about it. I wanted to learn about commodity trading, about forex, about long-term investing, and I wanted to learn all the strategies there are out there. And my algorithm on social media, especially on YouTube, learned this about me very quickly and it started pushing different videos from different coaches, which were all super interesting, super appealing. They all had the right hooks and they had me hooked, literally. There was a point where there was never a time when I didn't have my AirPods on and I wasn't listening to a video because I had such a hunger for taking all the information that was there. Excuse me. Which was a big mistake. I mean, taking all of that information in, number one, this comes from a deep sense of lack, a deep sense of FOMO, which is once again from a space of lack, because you're approaching all of this with the lack mindset of the fact that it works only if I have all the information that there is to be taken. It works only if I become an expert in everything there is to learn about it, instead of coming from an expansive, grounded place of learning one thing and then getting really good at it, learning thing number 2 and then getting really good at it. So I spread myself out so thin trying to learn different strategies. I had different accounts on different brokers where I was practicing different strategies. In my head, it sounded doable. It seemed very sophisticated to be able to put on one hat of one strategy from one coach when I open one account, trade based on that, and then switch hats when I open another account. But what this did in effect in my head was do a big mishmash of information, which took me a long time to wade through. There was so much information that I had taken in that I was almost losing the charm of practicing. There was a constant dopamine hit that I was getting from taking new information over and over again. And it was so satisfying to just be in this learning environment that it was almost holding me back from taking action. Not almost, it was holding me back from taking action. So it took me a long time to declutter this noise from my head and find something that actually works for me. I'm not saying that I regret trying everything out as I did, because that then brings me to a point of being able to share my knowledge with all of you now. And a lot of what people ask me in terms of trading in crypto, forex, options is something that I've previously done and have first-hand experience of. So that definitely adds a lot to my experience, but it took me slightly longer to find something that works for my personal portfolio apart from being able to teach it as part of my business. I'm talking about simply finding a strategy and a coach that actually had an impact on my broker account. Took slightly longer because I was trying out so many. So, if anything, I would highly encourage you to focus on one coach and one strategy for at least a year. Because otherwise you don't see effects, you don't see the actual impact of this strategy, and if you spread yourself out too thin, we're living in an age of information where getting information doesn't cost much. We think it's for free, but it actually costs us our focus. It costs us our speed in taking action and getting to the end, or getting to where we can actually start practicing instead of just taking in information over and over and over, day in and day out, and really kind of clogging our mental passages with this extra information. So that would be, and just to finish that point, it is impossible to be able to learn all strategies out there in all different aspects of trading or investing, because there are so many different securities, as we call them, which means the actual thing that you're trading: commodities, crypto, options, stocks, ETFs, so on and so forth, gold, which is part of commodities actually. But there are so many things that you can be trading on, number one. There are so many time periods that you could be choosing to trade on. There are so many ways in which you could be trading, in terms of directly trading in these securities or using derivatives. And then you add your strategies with indicators, entry points, exit points, support levels, resistance levels, candle patterns, so on and so forth. This is easily, I'm just taking a ballpark figure of about 50,000 different strategies that work for 50,000 different people. It doesn't sound like a lot. I'm sure there are more than 50,000 educators around the stock markets in the world, definitely. It's probably a big multiple of this number. But even if we take, let's say, on the conservative side, the number of 50,000 strategies for one single person is impossible to learn and master. So please, if I could encourage you to do anything, is to take things slow, because when you take things slow, you actually move faster. This was mistake number one. Mistake number two is relying too much on the conviction of other people, sometimes these coaches or other advisors. At the beginning of my journey, I kept thinking that I am a novice, I am very new to this, and this was just going into COVID, where it was an unprecedented time, and I thought I needed support, so I paid for coaches, I paid to be part of expensive communities, and I took decisions based on the conviction that was being shared there. Meaning, I took decision based on what they thought was going to be happening in the markets, instead of following my research, my gut, my conviction. Because that conviction that I would have built would have taken me through bad times in the market on the basis of the research that I had done. Since I had more trust in other people's conviction than mine, I ended up simply blindly trusting their alerts, their trades, and copied them. And I got stuck in some very bad trades over the period of time. This is a big part of my sob story with crypto as well, where I had paid an advisor for a full year, and he ended up pointing me in the direction of some really bad projects that were then rug pull projects, meaning the owners, the managers just ran away with the money. And I almost feel like if I had done this without these coaches or advisors that I gave more value to, that I put on a pedestal at the time, If I had done it on my own, I would have been better off today. So, if anything, from my mistake number one, I would urge you to choose one mentor with one form of investing or trading that resonates with you. Stick to that for at least 1 year and make sure that this mentor is all about teaching you to build conviction in your own decisions instead of just selling, let's say, a newsletter or a community where they share trades and they want you to copy it. Because it'll only be a matter of time that you fall out of agreement with that community, or you have different goals versus what the rest of the community is doing or what the coach is doing, or simply from your version of who you were a year ago, let's say. You could be in a very different place now, and you need to be able to adapt to these changes in a confident and self-dependent way, instead of always having to reach out, instead of always depending on that list of trades coming from the coach. So they need to be focused on teaching you how to cook instead of just serving you the dish. Mistake number one, mistake number two. Mistake number three would be since I was in this space of self-doubt, I ended up simply copying a lot of trades, and I was also in a space of following so many different sources that I missed a very key part of managing a good investment portfolio, which is diversification. So most of my clients know this story, but I started 2021 with 100% exposure or investments into technology sector. I ended 2021, which was the end of the super bullish period that COVID saw. 2020 and 2021 was super bullish, meaning the market was going very, very high. And in 2022, literally from 1st of January 2022 is when the market took a nosedive. It was time for it to correct and kind of breathe out after the super bullish momentum. And for the first 10 months of 2022, the markets carried on hurtling downwards. There was a lot of speculation around recession, etc. at the time. I'm not going into details around that, but coming back to my mistake, on 1st of Jan 2022, I had 100% exposure to just technology companies. Now, technology companies are always the drivers for growth, not just for your investment portfolios, but also for the market, also for the economy, also for life in general, right? Technology frontier is the frontier at which we see the most amount of growth to move us along, to move us forward as humanity, as a species. So it's definitely the driver of growth, but with that also comes a lot of risk, right? Your risk reward equation always stays the same. So if you're seeing more return, you're also taking more risk on it. And because it's a driver in growth, it's also a driver, meaning it also leads the fall in the market. So the fall was very exaggerated in technology companies, and me being 100% invested in technology companies, I saw a big fat red number on my account for a very long time, for maybe 6 to 8 months, until things started turning around. And because this was not based off my conviction, my research, as I mentioned in mistake number 2, there were intense periods of doubt where I didn't know whether I wanted to stay in this position or not. I knew so much more theoretically, but I wasn't able to take action because I was going to either lose a big amount or I was almost frozen, because once you go into that cycle of self-doubt, then taking quick decisions, taking healthy decisions becomes very difficult. So I went into this state of freeze, and that wasn't good for me or for my account. I was also doing day trading in options at the same time, which is a whole other story, but all of this really added to self-doubt. And I wish that I had a few stocks, maybe at least 40% of my portfolio invested in different sectors, because despite the fall in the market during 2022, there were pockets in the market that were still earning money. The rest of the market, I think, went down 20 to 25%, but energy sector actually earned 30% in the same year when the rest of the market was going south. Meaning there's always opportunity in the market to earn, and to maximize this opportunity, you need to be invested in these different opportunities. So yes, we all love our Googles, our Amazons, our Apples, Nvidias, at the moment. But we need to look beyond that, and we need to look at stocks that are recession proof, that are more utilities based, that are more, let's say, consumer essentials based, that are not going to be exciting, but they are going to keep ticking along. They're going to keep your account ticking along in times where technology is not doing so well, or growth riders are not doing very well. So these are the 3 mistakes that I would love to share with, I regularly share with my clients, but today I'm sharing it on this public platform that I hope help each one of you starting out on your journey. If you'd like to know any more, or if you'd like to avoid these mistakes and work together with me to cut your learning curve by a factor of time, then please drop me a DM at sheinvest.me and we'll have a chat. Thank you very much. Until next time. Bye-bye.
We would really appreciate your feedback as reviews on the podcast app you tune in from. Support us also by sharing this podcast with 3 of your besties who would benefit from being fantastic.